Yeah, Bella, she's two years old, and yeah, she's keeping me busy, to be fair. I mean, it's been nice to spend such a long time with her, because obviously I train in Sheffield full time, so like I've never really had this sort of amount of time to spend with my family. So I mean, it's been quite brilliant actually to have a bit of time with them.
So what are the Will Bayley kind of parenting, magic advice? What are the Will Bayley tips?
I'm the soft one. I'm the one that sort of like just lets her get away with so much. But to be fair, because I've been away so long, because I haven't had the time to spend with her, I've just sort of spoiled her really these first few weeks. I think now if it goes on for much longer, I'm getting a bit sterner as we go along.
I've got this image of you like putting Bella in front of videos of your classic matches over the years.
Yeah. You know me too well. Yeah, I'm like, look at that.
I've been doing quite a bit of baking with mixed results. You'd think with my surname that I would be a pro, but I'm definitely not. I'm not quite so good for the waistline, so I've had to mix it up with a few salads for dinner. Our neighbour's been making stuff as well, so we've been leaving stuff outside each other's doors so we can try each other's baking.
I ordered some like exercise equipment for home, so I've got like a pull-up and a dip station. So just been hitting that, but I've been carrying an inch. But this sort of time of the year is always, the business end, and you've got a lot of miles on your body. So I had a few niggles. So the good thing about this is it's giving me a chance to kind of like address those and take care of some of those niggles.
The dip station sounds like something you'd find at Pizza Hut, but I'm imagining your dip station is not quite as enjoyable as that.
Oh mate, it's really not. You just see, there's no Pizza Hut, so we haven't got any like Just Eat delivery or anything open, right? So you're killing me right now. Like pizza would be heaven right now.
It's lovely to be with her, actually. In all seriousness, we don't, because we travel a lot in our separate sports. We don't get a lot of time to train together, so it's been really nice actually to do our sessions together, like strength, conditioning. I've helped her.
Am I motivating you? Is that my character trait?
You are you're a motivational lady. But no, it helps us to understand each other's sports a bit more as well, and where we're working really hard, and it's lovely to have this quality time together.
Louise, tell me, above all other Paralympians I speak to, tell me you've got a swing ball in the garden.
Do you know what? I haven't, and I so wish I'd got one. And I looked online. There's been some new like contraptions brought out where you can actually, it looks like a swing ball machine, but you can hit it and then it bounces away from you and comes back. I had a look at it and it won't come for months, and I was like, so it's going to literally come as soon as isolation's over, isn't it? So I'm gutted.
Do you know what has been the best? When you go and, because we're only grocery shopping once a week, which means, you're probably going to be missing ingredients or have stuff that doesn't necessarily go together, but basically just opening your fridge and seeing what's there and experimenting. And that I absolutely love. Sometimes I nail it, sometimes I do not. But actually, by far the best thing that I've been making are just the most basic flatbreads you can imagine. And they're delicious and they do not require yeast.
It's interesting. I remember my last workout with my coach, and that Monday, my gym where I swim was still open, and so was my strength facility. And so my coach, Steve, and we did a swimming session, and I just remember there was a repeat of hundreds in there, and I was swimming pretty fast. And Steve's like, Mal, it's Monday. You need to chill out. And I was like, well, I don't know when the next time I'm going to have water is, so I'm going after it today. And he's like, just don't ruin yourself for the week. I was like, okay, Mr. Optimistic, I'm glad you think we have a pool this week, but I don't think we're going to. And so him and I always have like our very respectful kind of little banter back and forth. And we kind of created a plan. He and his business partner own a CrossFit gym. So I borrowed some equipment from him. I borrowed some equipment from my strength and conditioning training facility that I have here in the cities. And then a family donated they loaned me a Vasa trainer, and Vasa Erg. I'm not sure if you know what those are, but they're like a swim bench per se. It's about as close as you can get to swimming on land. So while it's not water, you can kind of mimic stroke technique, and you can mimic the catch phase of your stroke and the power parts of your stroke. So I've been on my swim bench in the garage. I've posted a few pictures on social media. I taped a black line underneath it so I could hover my black line. And then, we've got a rower, different things for the fitness, the cardio, and strength and conditioning stuff. So we're making do the best we can right now.
So for those who don't know, powerlifting is a bench press. So, there'll be people up and down the country, particularly in these times, with kind of home gym setups or doing bench presses. So come on, what is your personal best that people should be trying to match in their garages?
So my personal best in competition is 125 kilos.
Right, wow. That's not messing about. And what were you doing when you first entered the sport? Was 125 kilos something you would have only dreamed about?
Completely. I couldn't, even now I put it on the bar and I'm like, it's a bit scary if you think about the actual numbers. When I first tried powerlifting, I did a very, very scrappy 77.5. So I've come a long way since then. I mean, I started from a really good place. But yeah, it's been quite a crazy couple of years.
And what was it like for you, particularly as a 15-year-old, to suddenly get out of the pool and probably a few hours later, I imagine, get messages or people saying to you, your walk-on with the big jacket has become world famous. It's everywhere on social media and they're showing it on Channel 4.
I remember it was after the medal ceremony and one of the coaches was kind of walking me back to the pool. I think I was allowed to see my parents a little bit, just for a few minutes. And as we were walking up to the stands, he said, "Oh, you're #1 trending on Twitter." And I was like, no way. And it was so weird because obviously I didn't plan to do anything with the coat or anything like that. It just sort of happened. And I remember I was on the last leg and they were like, "Oh, so why do you do it?" And I was like, "Oh, my straps are too tight." And looking back at that just wasn't true. I was just so in the zone. I was just like, yeah.
I'd kind of come from a sport that it's very much endurance based training, even though my race was probably only about 1 minute and 40 at the most. The endurance training that you need for years and years as a swimmer is mammoth. And coming into para canoe, it's very much a sprint power race. And when I first moved over, it took me most of the race to kind of get up to speed, and then before I knew it, it was over, and it just didn't marry up to what I'd been used to. So that was quite a challenge, and just the change in training dynamic was quite different. But I seem to have cracked it now, so it's all right.
Certainly cracked. Yeah, 3-time world champion.
Triathlon had always been on my radar, and obviously Rio was the first time that it appeared in the Paralympic Games. It was its debut, so I was like, do I want to do it? Do I not? And so I really took quite a bit of time to think about that, because I didn't want to just change it to another sport just because I couldn't think of anything else to do. I didn't want it to be that. I want it to be because I really wanted to do it. So that those few months between Rio and changing over to triathlon were key in just a bit of personal development and finding out a little bit about myself, and then making that switch over. And honestly, it's been the best switch ever. I absolutely love it. It's just the freedom you get, and just the variety is incredible. And to be honest, I look back now and I'm like, gosh, I don't know how I swam 9-10 times a week following a black line, because now I find like swimming 4 to 5 times a week quite hard. But no, it's just how you change, isn't it? And I've grown so much as a person and learned so much about myself within these last few years, which has been incredible.
Now they showed me the boat. So the boat was a normal kind of a racing shell, but it had floats on either side, so it was difficult to tip, to fall in. Then they had a fixed seat, the same one I was using on the rowing machine, and I thought, okay, so that's how it works. So apart from those two adaptations, there was nothing else different to other rowing boats. So you're sitting like everyone else, but you're just not sliding, because I'm not using my legs, just using my upper body, and that was it. Honestly, just taking a few strokes, it just felt so good, just like a different way of getting about. I drive an automatic car, so that was fine. I managed to walk a little bit, using crutches. That was fine. But just rowing was just a whole new different way of getting from A to B that I never thought I could ever do.
And you'll hate me for for repeating this, but you're 44 years old this summer, is that right?
21, can't you see?
The year-long postponement sort of probably hits you harder than some of the younger guys. Would that be fair?
This could be my last time I compete at the Paralympics. Let's kind of really go for it. All in, everything, loads of sacrifices around home life. And then to have it postponed, and then at first it was kind of like, oh, it's postponed to next year. Then it was like, but I've got to go through all this winter training again. I've got to expend all this physical, mental energy again. And yeah, it was definitely a self-reflection moment. And do I actually want it? Do I feel it's still possible?
Rio was a weird one. It kind of came in a dip where I really lost the passion for the sport. But again, I was there like for my family because they put so many hours and minutes and effort, everything of their time into trying to get me to that level. From my mum driving me to training at like 4 a.m. in the morning when I was 12 or something, to competitions and all that jazz. So for me, Rio was for them, and even though the medals were great, don't get me wrong, but for me, they mean more for me because of the reaction from my mum. After I got my individual bronze, I was doing like the lap of honour thing with the other two medalists, and I just saw her crying her eyes out, and for me that was just, it was really special. So the medal means a lot to me because of that.
If you were jumping even further than your 8.4 metres and getting up into 8.6, 8.7 and getting up to those, the longest ever Olympic jumps, the longest ever able-body jumps, do you think that actually would improve your chances of being allowed to compete in the Olympics, or would they actually get a bit scared and say, no, we can't have this guy coming in and winning an Olympic medal?
It will definitely lower my possibilities, I guess. But I don't mind. I mean, I'm not like a technical or tactical player. I'm an athlete. I do what I'm able to do the best way possible. If it's one day like this that a Paralympic athlete can jump further than Olympic athletes, well, that's great. I mean, then that's how it is. I think we have to be open to this discussion, and many people, they just don't like talking about it. We don't know what the technology brings, and I'm totally aware of this. We can't say it will never be like that. Paralympic athletes will be faster or jump further. We don't know that. The German national record is 8:54. And I'm honest, that's my goal. That's my goal. I want to break the German national record of the able bodies.
Ali, I feel like we could actually leave all the Paralympic stuff and just talk about Liverpool Football Club, because we're both fans. And every time I watch a match, I go on Twitter afterwards, and you've been through the same emotions as I have. So how did you become a Liverpool fan?
When I was about, I think it was about like 5 or 6, my favourite colour was red. I was obsessed with red. It's still actually my favourite colour. So we were like, I think one night we were watching like Match of the Day or something, and this team in red like won. It could have been any team in red, but it was Liverpool. So I decided from that day on it would be Liverpool that I support. It could have been like Man United or Arsenal, but it was Liverpool that day. So nobody can say I'm a glory hunter because we've not been great on until recently. So yeah, this has to be our year.
Thank God they were at home that day and wearing their red shirt. Favourite players over the years?
I think for me, Michael Owen when I was younger, but then for me, my favourite player is obviously Steven Gerrard. I think he's been the man for us, throughout the time I've supported them.
Now, I think we can tell you're a proud Aussie with the top on there, and I'm pretty sure that's some spread in the background, isn't it? That's from home.
Yeah, that's Vegemite.
Yeah,
I just
thought so.
Because it's much better than Marmite.
So I think we can tell where you're from, but you are one of Australia's top Paralympians of all time. And that Commonwealth gold you mentioned on the Gold Coast, how special was that, winning in your own country?
Yeah, that was really nice to have a home games. What was really special for the Commonwealth Games is that it's a joint event between Paralympic and Olympic athletes. So a lot of the guys I trained with anyway, right? Like I was on the track with them, in the gym with them, from different sports, athletics, everything. And I know a lot of them. And it was just really nice to be on a team where I got to hang out with the likes of Ben Harradine, who's the Australian discus record holder, and like guys that I really respected from outside of Paralympic sport, and I got to be on a team with them. That was really cool. And to compete at home was obviously great.
So I remember calling my mum up, "Hi mum, I've been on to a session with British Rowing Talent Scouts and they really like me and have asked me to come down and be in a boat." And I just remember her response being like, "Lauren, I can't believe you've got involved in something else." But she supported it no matter what because she saw how excited I was about that. So a week later, I was in a boat in the middle of the Thames, 100 miles away from home, and started my rowing career, I suppose. Took my first strokes, and I just remember that day like so vividly. I remember getting in the boat for the first time, and I remember just feeling this sense of freedom that I hadn't had since I used to run as a kid. I hadn't had it in athletics, and it was the first time since being in a chair that I felt this level of freedom.
It's a lot of pressure to be at the top of your game for a long time, and sometimes I just get sick of it and I just don't even want to see my chair or be involved with sport or talk to anyone about racing, and you go through periods like that. But at the moment I'm enjoying going out and training and doing it. I'm doing the races that I want to do. I have no pressure on nothing else, and you know, I can do the marathons that I want to do, and that's it. You know, I haven't got pressure from no one else to tell me what I should be doing. I should be on the track or I should be doing this or that person. And I just think I've got a bit of freedom, and I think that's why, because I can make my own decisions, and I feel like I'm doing it for myself now, not for everybody else. I felt like I was doing everything, you know, the racing for my coach, my family, friends, but I never felt I was doing it for myself. And now I feel like I'm doing what I want to do.
And cycling had never really been a thing, but it just kind of had cropped up. And as that was kind of ticking along, I didn't know whether I was going to be good at it or not. So I just kind of kept on with the running side of things. And then it kind of got to a point where I was like, oh, I'm actually doing all right in both of these. Like I managed to drop quite a bit in my 100 meter times. And I was like, okay, I'm doing all right here. And then it turned out I was relatively good in the cycling as well. I think my cycling coach found out I was doing athletics when I was announced on the World Championships team. I was actually told to make a choice because I think a lot of people thought it was impossible to do two sports at a high level, which I did make a choice. After the Athletics World Championships, I decided I didn't want to get rid of either sport and was going to do both. So I sent a really long email to a few people and thankfully I got a yes.
I've had to basically kind of break into Leicester's track at the moment. I don't know if I should be saying that or not, but yeah, there's like a hole in the fence that I've been going through twice a week at the moment, just to kind of keep up, just trying to do what I can do without getting in too much trouble.
And they didn't know about it until now. So
well, yeah, that's it. I don't know if I just shot myself in the foot, which as long as it's the right one, we're okay.